Hey guys, I'm Noxys, and in this video we're going to talk about some rarely known information regarding physical damage and Genshin impact. Without a doubt, the physical type of damage is among the least preferred builds in the current state of the game. You want explosive one-shot bursts and cool-looking skill animations. Physical DPS such as Eula, Razor, and Beidou are called as such because their normal and charge attacks are not infused with elemental bonuses through their own kits, unlike Keqing, Chongyun, or Diluc. Unless you love these physical damage characters, a lot of players would just opt for elemental DPS because these units most likely deal better damage outputs without giving their build much thought. However, physical DPS builds can overcome this gap when some mechanics are considered. Things such as food buffs, unit passives, aura buffs, debuffs, and artifact sets are extremely helpful in boosting a unit's physical damage output. With the introduction of newer sets, leaning on buffing physical damage plus a change in Abyss bosses version 1.5, the interest in building physical DPS team comps has grown over time. Not to mention that Eula's banner is coming, physical attacks being the main source of damage is now becoming a more interesting subject. If you're one of those who are planning to build a viable physical DPS unit and team comp in general, it would be great to know more than 2 or 3 things about physical damage itself to optimize your build. Here's a series of random facts about physical damage that you might have missed out or have not heard about since you started playing the game. Number 1. Physical damage mitigation. Did you know that there are 2 layers of physical damage mitigation? Enemies naturally have defense factor and physical resistance factor. Both of these are considered before arriving at the net physical damage output. Enemy defense factor or EDF is a level-based variable which involves a lot of computations. In simplified sense, defense factor is credited for most of the reduction in your physical damage output as your character levels up and progresses in the game. For instance, if your level 90 Razor is going up against a level 92 Ruin Grader, you will outright lose about half of his physical damage potential. In comparison, Elemental DPS completely ignores this first layer. Enemy Physical Resistance Factor or EPRF is a second layer of physical damage mitigation. Just unlike elemental resistance, every enemy has its own natural physical resistance, the value of which depends on the type of mob. For instance, Ruin Guards have 70% physical resistance, Slimes have 10%, and Electro Teaching Mages have negative 20%. But when environmental events are considered, there are cases when a mob's physical resistance can go as high as 130%. This is the case for a Pyro Whooper Flower infused with Pyro Element. So how can we still deal some damage to enemies whose physical resistance have gone above 100%? Well, the computation for EPRF includes a naturalizing equation so that these drastic difference in values are adjusted for balance purposes. This prevents players from dealing extremely large damage to mobs with negative physical resistance in the same way that we can still deal damage to Whooper Flowers having 130% physical resistance. Number 2. Physical damage debuffs. As of version 1.5, there are only 3 known debuffs which can reduce an enemy's defense factor. First, Razor's C4 upgrade Bite reduces defense by 15%. Second, Lisa's passive static electricity field also reduces enemy defense by 15% when hit by her burst. Third, Clay's C2 upgrade explosive frags reduces enemy defense by 23% after getting hit by Jumpty Dumpty mines. On the other hand, there are more than 3 sources for physical resistance debuffs. While Superconduct is possibly the highest source of physical res debuff at negative 40%, there are other debuff sources that also contribute to reducing physical resistance. Zhongli's Jade Shield has a lingering small AoE debuff of negative 20%. Tharia's C6 upgrade debuffs enemies with negative 20%. Tinian's C4 upgrade debuffs enemies with negative 15%. The upcoming 5-star Claymore unit Eula also has a physical res debuff on her elemental skill, playing around the stacks of Grim Heart which converts to Ice World brands. While technically not giving a percentage-based debuff, Shatter is a 3-step reaction mechanic that also deals high physical damage. Shatter is created when heavy attacks such as Claymore Swing or Jair damage is applied to a frozen enemy. The damage dealt is based on the level and elemental mastery of the character causing the Shatter. In a matter of debuffs, there seems to be no great incentive in bringing your opponent's physical resistance to negative values, no matter how big that negative value is. That's because the normalizing equation will adjust these absurd values to allowable ones. Hence, it is advised to play around a total of 60% to 80% physical resistance reduction, and then focus on your physical damage buffs. In conclusion, Reducing your enemy's total physical damage mitigation means to either reduce their defense stats, physical resistance percentages, or both. Number 3. Physical damage buffs. Expert chefs may already know about dishes that boost physical damage, but did you know that Visual Specialty Dish is the best among the rest? For comparison, the 3-star dishes Cold Cut Platter and Giant Guba provide 40% max physical damage boost for 300 seconds, while the 4-star dish Yansho Meat provides max boost of 45% plus crit rate of 10% for 300 seconds. Visual Specialty Dish The Hilligis Symphony, on the other hand, provides a whopping 55% max physical damage boost for 300 seconds. To get this dish, you just have to let Visual cook the basic Cold Cut Platter recipe and hope for good RNG. When it comes to passive skills, talents, and constellations providing physical damage bonus, Xinyan's Now That's Rock and Roll passive is probably the only one in the list for now. That makes Xinyan a valuable DPS team comp unit. Number 4. Artifact Sets. Right now, the only 2 sets which provide an outright bonus to physical damage are Bloodstained Chivalry and Pale Flame. Some physical DPS guides would suggest mixing these 2 sets or inserting a 2-piece Gladiator in between. For Eula's case, it might be better to go for a 4-piece Flame set since her kit is kind of similar to the set's mechanics. Speaking of domains, the Valley of Remembrance is probably one of the best areas to showcase your physical DPS build, since the ley line provides a huge bonus to physical damage of 75%. Players can reach as high as 270% bonus physical damage stat while fighting in this domain, which makes a 100k pure physical DPS an easy goal to achieve. So that's it for a short discussion on physical damage. If you find this video helpful, you can like and subscribe to my channel to show your support and to help me create more useful contents such as this one in the future. See you on my next video.
Are you here to spy on me?
No, I was just worried you might be in trouble.
Not yet. It takes 2 to tango. Shall we?